for being here. Nice to see you. You know, people at home looking at us right now are saying to themselves, those two guys don't hang around together.
Billy Idol, born William Michael Albert Broad on November 30th, 1955 in London, is a pioneering figure in punk rock and new wave music. Idol first gained attention as the lead singer of Generation X, a punk band that thrived in the late 70s. Known for his rebellious image and iconic sneer, Idol went solo in the early 80s, moving to New York and collaborating with guitarist Steve Stevens. Together, they crafted a sound that blended punk's raw energy with new wave's electronic influences. Despite facing challenges, including a near-fatal motorcycle accident in 1990, Idol's career endured. But one thing that's still on people's minds is, when's old Billy gonna get hitched? Billy's life and career.
A lot of people, especially say back in England or even a lot of critics, really thought that Billy Idol would burn out a lot sooner than he has. And it was kind of my own sense of fun, really.
Billy Idol's upbringing was typical of many British children of his generation. His family moved to Goring-by-the-Sea, West Sussex, when he was young, and it was here that his passion for music began to take root. As a teenager, Idol was heavily influenced by the British invasion bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but it was the punk rock movement of the 70s that resonated most deeply with him. In 1971, his family moved to Bromley, a suburb of London, where he attended Ravensbourne School for Boys. It was in Bromley that he began to immerse himself in the burgeoning punk scene. The atmosphere of rebellion and the DIY ethic of punk were intoxicating for Idol, and he soon became a regular at local punk clubs. His time in Bromley also introduced him to the Bromley Contingent, a group of punk enthusiasts that included future stars like Susie Sue and Steven Severin of Susie and the Bandits. This period was formative for Idol, as it introduced him to the raw energy and attitude that would come to define his music. His first foray into the music industry came when he joined the punk band Chelsea as a guitarist in 1976. However, he soon left Chelsea to form Generation X with bassist Tony James. Generation X was one of the first punk bands to appear on the BBC television program Top of the Pops, and their self-titled debut album, released in 1978, was a commercial success. The band's sound was characterized by its mix of punk's aggression with a more melodic, pop-oriented approach, which set them apart from many of their contemporaries. Idol's distinctive look and charismatic stage presence made him a standout figure in the punk scene. Generation X released 3 albums between 1978 and 81, Generation X, Valley of the Dolls, and Kiss Me Deadly. The band's sound evolved over time, incorporating elements of glam rock and new wave, but they struggled to maintain the momentum of their early success. By 1981, internal tensions and changing musical trends led to the band's dissolution. Following the breakup of Generation X, Idol moved to New York City to pursue a solo career. This move marked the beginning of his transformation from a punk rocker to a global music icon. In New York, Idol teamed up with guitarist Steve Stevens, and the two began crafting a sound that blended the raw energy of punk with the synthesizers and production techniques of the new wave movement. This fusion proved a winning formula, and Idol quickly found success as a solo artist. His self-titled debut solo album, Billy Idol, was released in the early 80s. Both singles became staples of an early MTV era, with their accompanying videos helping to establish Idol's image as a rebellious, leather-clad rocker. The videos for White Wedding and Dancing with Myself were particularly influential, showcasing his charismatic presence and distinctive style, which included his trademark sneer and peroxide-blond hair. The visual aspect of Idol's music became as important as the music itself, and he quickly became one of the most recognizable figures of the 1980s music scene. Idol's follow-up album, Rebel Yell, cemented his status as a global superstar. The album was a commercial and critical success, reaching multi-platinum status in the States. It featured some of Idol's most enduring hits, including the title track Rebel Yell, Eyes Without a Face, and Flesh for Fantasy. The album's success was driven in part by the heavy rotation of its music videos on MTV, which helped to broaden Idol's appeal beyond the punk and new wave scenes. Rebel Yell became one of the defining albums of the 80s, and its songs remain some of Idol's most recognizable and popular tracks. Throughout the mid-80s, he continued to build on his success with the release of his third album, Whiplash Smile. It produced several hit singles, including To Be a Lover and Sweet 16, and showcased Idol's ability to adapt to the changing musical landscape of the decade. By this time, Idol had firmly established himself as one of the leading figures in rock music. In 1987, he released Vital Idol, a remix album that included a live version of Moni Moni, which became another hit single and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in the US. The late 80s and early 90s were a period of transition for Idol. His 1990 album, Charmed Life, included the hit single Cradle of Love, which was featured in the soundtrack for the film The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. The song's music video, directed by David Fincher, was another MTV staple, and Cradle of Love became one of Idol's last major hits of the decade. Though his popularity waned somewhat in the 90s as musical tastes shifted, Idol remained active in the music industry. He released the album Cyberpunk in 1993, an ambitious attempt to explore new sounds and technologies. While the album received mixed reviews and did not achieve commercial success, it demonstrated Idol's willingness to experiment and evolve as an artist. In the 2000s, he experienced a resurgence in popularity. His 2005 album Devil's Playground was well received, and he continued to tour and perform to enthusiastic audiences around the world. In 2014, he released Kings and Queens of the Underground, an album that reflected on his career and the experiences that had shaped him as an artist. Billy Idol's career has spanned several decades, and his influence on the music world is undeniable. When's the White Wedding?
I really love what I do and, really believe in what I'm doing. And, the music has held up. These songs from Rebel Yell really hold up. They're still fun to do.
Billy Idol, due to his rock and roll persona, has had numerous high-profile relationships, yet has never married. He's maintained a somewhat unconventional view on marriage, expressing he never felt the need to tie the knot. His aversion to marriage is rooted in his desire for freedom and the belief that his lifestyle is better suited to remaining uncommitted in the traditional sense. Idol's relationships over the years have been the subject of much public interest. He has had several significant relationships, including a long-term partnership with Perry Lister, who is the mother of his son, Willem Wolf Broad, born in 1988. Idol has a daughter, Bonnie Blue, from a later relationship. Despite these relationships, Idol has often spoken about his reluctance to marry, emphasizing his preference for independence and the challenges of maintaining a committed relationship given the demands of his career and lifestyle. His rock and roll lifestyle also included a long struggle with drug use, particularly in the 80s and early 90s. His heavy use of drugs, including heroin and cocaine, was a significant part of his life during his rise to fame. This period of substance abuse had a profound impact on Idol, leading to several near-death experiences, including a near-fatal motorcycle accident in 1990. The accident served as a wake-up call, prompting Idol to re-evaluate his life and make significant changes. He has since spoken candidly about the toll that drug use took on him, both personally and professionally, and how it shaped his outlook on life. In recent years, he's found happiness in his relationship with China Chow, an actress and model. The two have been together for several years, and Idol has expressed contentment with their relationship. But even with this stable and fulfilling partnership, he's remained steadfast in his decision not to marry. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think a marriage can ruin a rock star's reputation? Let us know in the comments section below.